Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Friends, Facts, and Fiction. As always, this podcast is made possible by our local convenience stores, the misappropriation of history, and you. And now to your hosts, Justin Hammonds, Brant Bramlett, and Drew Shellnut.
What's up? What's happening, world? It's a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Season 5, Staying Alive, Trying to Thrive. Episode 2, Shipwreck, USA. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
this episode as well. It's going to be lit. Anyway, I'm Justin Hammonds, and looking at my boy Drew Shellnut. And my boy Grant Bramlett.
Yeah, this is going to be, it's not quite as... salacious as some of the last handful that I've had or whatever, but it is one of those like, that is very interesting. And
I did not know that.
You know what I mean? It's like a touch on the dry side, at least for me personally, because like this period of American history is very like contract oriented and by the books, and it's when we really developed like American politics, and we've got all these different like Western European nations like. Instead of like outright just killing each other over all this, they start to get into the point of like treaties and trades and stuff. I mean, there's still definitely wars going on, but not quite as bad. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a little more about like meetings and treaties and stuff. But,
meetings and treaties.
But it's pretty cool though.
They normally didn't stick to those treaties.
No.
But that's a different story for a different time. Yeah. Andrew Jackson. Anyway. We back, man. Hope y'all doing well out here in this world. Things are getting better every day. At least I hope so. And yeah, we back in it, back on it. Did you pick a song to talk about?
Yeah. So Father John Misty is like this. It's a solo thing because he used to be in, I guess he still kind of is in Fleet Foxes. Great lyricist. I think a really good vocalist. He usually leans towards like, I don't know, like orchestral folk. He likes to, pull. It's very, very folk oriented as far as like the song structure and the lyric content is concerned. But he likes to pull in, some really interesting instrumentation, and it's a pretty like wide sounding, kind of thing that he does. But he put out a new album called Chloe in the Next 20th Century, and the one that struck me pretty good. If I'm in the grocery store by myself, like. I really kind of miss the mask days. Sometimes I still wear a mask in the grocery store just for that like sheer like anonymity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
let me just
hat,
chill.
Mask, headphones.
Yep.
And it's just like I'm in, I got my list, I'm getting the fuck out of there. I hate the lighting. I don't like the way that people don't seem to operate by traffic patterns with their shopping carts.
The most awkward shit is like when people don't get it. Like, hey, look, you got to be on one side of the aisle, not just right in the middle, just chilling, looking at hot sauces. You know what I'm saying?
I am literally on like a hunter-gatherer mission when I go to grocery stores. And so I like to listen to stuff like this because the second track on it is "Goodbye, Mr. Blue." It was just such a like, this is nice. You know what? It's kind of okay that grocery stores exist. Like, it's so much easier in life. I was just in such a good mood solely because of that song. So, recommend that.
That's what's cracking. Fuck yeah, go check that out. Like I say, in the process of updating the playlist on Spotify, but you can find that Song of the Day of the Week playlist on Spotify. That's the Song of the Day of the Week. Goodbye, Mr. Blue.
Yeah.
By
Father John Misty.
Boom. Father John Misty.
On his newest album.
Sounds like a Catholic priest name, but word to him. Keep thriving.
Speaking of music, I was listening to NPR and heard that Pink Floyd has a new song out called Hey Hey Rise Up. And it's because David Gilmour's daughter-in-law called him from the Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
And said that there was a guy standing in the middle of the square singing Solitary by himself, this old Ukrainian song.
That's awesome.
And the end of it is, and I've got chill bumps right now.
You just gave some to me, yeah. That's cool.
The end of it, and you those of us who don't speak Ukrainian, you can tell at the end that he's singing Hey, Hey, Rise Up. And it's just, and I haven't listened to the Pink Floyd song yet. but it's got to be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so there's that that just popped up in my brain on the NPR spectrum.
I'm gonna check that shit out.
Yeah,
For sure. You got two tracks.
So it's the first time Pink Floyd has recorded anything since the Division Bell,
Right.
which the Division Bell was awesome. The Division Bell to me,
It took me a long time to get past that era of like production quality, like the way it sounded.
I get that.
And then I finally was like able to get over that and like listening to the actual like song. Fucking that was a good album.
The Division Bell was the closest thing to Dark Side of the Moon that they put out since Dark Side of the Moon on a musical spectrum. And now they're putting this out. So I'm kind of like, oh yeah. Well, David Gilmour's always been one of my favorite musicians anyway, because he can take 3 notes, make an entire song, and make you cry out of it.
Sure.
Soul.
Yeah.
You make your soul cry.
Yeah.
With 3 notes.
Intense.
You know?
Yeah.
So that motherfucker is a blues quintessence.
Yeah, I've definitely had a whole spectrum of emotions in 3 minutes listening to a Pink Floyd song several times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm really happy. Oh my God, I'm reflecting on my sadness.
Well,
why am I angry at the government? Oh shit, life is okay. It's like, oh, what the fuck is happening to me right now? Like, what the fuck is
Well, and
this?
I'm also somebody who's like a guilt by association type like relayer. So if I like see like, oh, this person listens to this and they're this lifestyle, and this person listens to this, and this group all listen to this lifestyle. I'm not a part of that, so I'm not going to listen to that.
Oh yeah.
I was like that my entire growing up life. That's why I didn't listen to stuff like Slipknot and Korn and stuff like that, because it was all the mall metal kids.
Yeah.
Sorry for you guys. But yeah, you grow up, and now I listen to like Katy Perry and shit, like because the music's fucking good.
Yeah.
It's not like it's and to everybody out there, please do what makes you happy.
Yeah, don't follow
Don't
no
listen,
trends.
even if it's your best fucking friend that disagrees with you about something, and you're just trying to
Fit in.
to fit in, keep up with the Joneses. Do what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, at the end of the life, it's all about who, not them.
Yeah,
So-
so you. I had this seen this interview of this I think it was a Russian rapper, odd dude. But anyway, he was saying, yeah, man, like I've already had style. Like I already had my personal style. So when I got money, I just kept doing my own thing. I didn't fucking go out and buy all this Prada and Gucci and Louis and all this shit to make a status out of it, because like I already had my style. I just brought better quality of my style. You know what I mean? Like I didn't do it to have a name brand on me. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, bro, that's fucking dope.
Yep.
You know, and have that personal acceptance of yourself, and knowing yourself is very important in this life. Yeah.
And
Life
knowing
lessons.
and knowing what you believe in.
We need a message button.
You need
Message?
To, yeah,
That's a message.
That's a message.
Message.
But knowing what you believe in, knowing what you have, like faith is such a fickle word these days.
Oh yeah, bro.
Such a fickle word. Faith doesn't necessarily mean anything about religion. Faith by definition is something that you believe in that isn't seen.
Boom.
That's just life, man. Like that's just life. Like you got to have like setting the whole self-fulfilling prophecy. That's a psychological thing. That's not a religious thing. That will happen.
Yeah.
If you put something in your mind, oh, my day's going to be shitty. Guess what? Your day's going to be fucking shitty.
Yeah.
I mean,
True
straight
that.
up.
True that. You got to speak it to the universe. That's for
If
sure.
you don't,
that shit helps.
Yeah, if you don't speak
But
it
you
out
know,
to the universe, put it out
Speaking it
there.
out to the universe and actually working too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the back end of that. Actually working towards that thing you spoke into
Yep.
the universe. You can't just speak it out.
Yep. We don't need religion for that.
But yeah, that's the motivational section of the podcast. We got anything
Sure.
else before we dive into these facts?
Yeah, I think let's do a little weird news update.
A woman rescued after falling into a toilet trying to get her phone.
The fuck?
So in Quilcene, Washington, by the AP News, a woman who accidentally dropped her cell phone into the hole of an outhouse in a national forest and fell in while trying to retrieve it. To be rescued by firefighters in Washington State. Brennan Fire Department Chief Tim Manley said the woman, who was at the top of Mount Walker in the Olympic National Forest northwest of Seattle, had been using her phone when it fell into the toilet on Tuesday, the Kitsap Sun reported. Manley said she disassembled the toilet seat and used dog leashes to try to get the foam,
She's
and
really going
eventually
after it.
used leashes to tie herself off as she reached for it.
Wow. So she had like a safety harness trying to dive into the outhouse.
She was
bless her.
toilet spelunking at this point.
Just fuck that phone.
Yeah,
like,
I
if it's
mean,
gone.
yes,
In that moment, I would be like, oh, that's really sucks. Well, I'm buying a phone tomorrow. Like,
Well, guess I'm out here just chilling by myself, no contacts, Word.
So-
guess I'll find an AT&T somewhere or fucking Sprint, whatever.
That effort failed, and she fell into the toilet head first.
Jesus Christ.
They didn't work very well,
it's so awful.
and in she went, Manley said. The woman was alone and tried to get out for 10 to 15 minutes. Reunited with her phone, she called 911.
Oh, my God.
I'm inside of an outhouse.
Responding firefighters passed her blocks to stand on.
Oh my God, bro. How deep is this outhouse, bro?
Right?
How much shit is in there, bro? Jesus Christ. Whoa.
I don't know.
Responding
I don't know.
firefighters passed her blocks to stand on to reach a harness,
Oh, God.
which they used to pull her out of the vault. Vault.
That's what
That's what they
called.
call it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay.
The
Learn
Brennan
something
Fire
every day.
Department said the woman said she was uninjured. She was washed down and, quote unquote, strongly encouraged to seek medical attention after being exposed to human waste.
Yeah, bro.
But she only wanted to leave, the department said. I've been doing this for 40 years, and this is the first time this has ever happened to me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's a rare occurrence to get stuck in a fucking outhouse vault.
Speaking of currents.
Also, the old pink eye. You might
Oh,
wanna-
stink eye, baby.
might want to get checked for conjunctivitis. There, champ. Yeah, woof. Weird news update.
Yeah.
That's some fucking weird news, boy. Jesus bless it, man.
And that happened on the 22nd of this beautiful April. Or, yeah.
It's April.
Yeah.
Still April, yeah.
Oh, this was like 2 days ago.
Yes.
Compared to this,
Yeah.
when this was recorded.
She fell in the poo-poo hole
Yeah.
a couple days ago.
Jesus Christ.
Poor thing.
That's
Poor dude.
fucking wild. Man, that's therapy's needed. Anyway. Woo. Well, good luck to you. Hope you're all right. But yeah, weird news update. Now we're going to slide into these hot facts.
Let's slide in.
About a shipwreck that doubled the size of the USA. Get comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Take a deep breath. Yeah. Alrighty then. Let's dive into these hot facts, man. What we got?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to start off with a little story to get us into it. When the trowel net from the fishing boat Mistake, it's called Mistake. I've seen pictures of it, and literally just a big fat mistake just written on the side of the boat. It's fucking
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Wow.
Struck something on the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico in the summer of 1993. Captain Jerry Murphy was fearful of damage to it. It was indeed ripped in several places when they hauled it up, but it didn't matter when Murphy heard his first mate screaming, "Ballast stones and coins, lots of coins."
Hell yeah.
And one of the most astounding yet captivating yarns in the annals of treasure lore.
That's gross.
Murphy's boat, the Mistake, had snagged some of the 450,000 silver pesos aboard the Spanish brig El Cazador.
So $45.
The 18-gun warship left Veracruz, Mexico in the winter of 1784.
Oof.
And by the beginning of summer was declared lost without a trace, loaded with coins freshly minted in Mexico City. The brig was bound for New Orleans, where the Spanish government needed the disbursement to fuel its economy. The colony's survival depended on this shipment, which was listed on the manifest as 17 tons of silver.
Jesus
I'm sorry,
Christ.
17,000 tons of silver.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
The El Cazador sank just 50 miles south of New Orleans. They were very close
Wow.
to getting to where they needed to be going. The question of how the ship sank remains unanswered, but poses one particularly titillating theory.
I like titillating.
I know that's a fun word. Historian Anderson Buzz
Titillation.
Bullock of Lafayette, Louisiana, believes the brig struck large masses of ice swept down from the Mississippi River. He found from studying winters past, ice flows have on more than one occasion formed over a 200-mile stretch of the river. And then records show that the winter of 1784 is being extremely cold. So they literally form way, way up north, most likely in Canada, and then wash all the way down the Mississippi during those like spring floods and stuff.
That's crazy.
And it takes that long to get to the Gulf, but it's still big enough to where it's not completely melted yet.
It's still an iceberg.
Theoretically
wild,
can
bro.
sink a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titanic.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild as fuck. Though.
When El Cazador left port in January, it would have sailed right into the path of ice, possibly broken free further north and drifted into the Gulf. As for a storm theory, if the ship had encountered one, there would have been a typical debris field that is usually seen, and there was not. It appears the ship went straight to the bottom. Bullock scoffs at the pillaging pirates theory. He says the 90-foot El Cazador, in Spanish meaning the hunter, was a well-armed and heavily manned vessel equipped to track down pirates, smugglers, and enemies of the crown. So I mean, think of like an armored car going from one bank to another. Yeah. They had the same process.
Yeah, but they had like 18 cannons on that bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ready for whatever.
Yeah.
They wanted to smoke.
They knew that they're carrying a lot of money and theoretically the survival of New Orleans or the survival of the Spanish owning New Orleans. You know what I mean?
17,000 tons.
Of silver.
Of silver, yeah.
That's a shit ton of money today, let alone in the fucking 1700s.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jim and Myrna Riahard of Grand Bay, Alabama, and 4 partners purchased 3 trawlers in 1989, including the Mistake, and formed the Grumpy Company. Just wanted to put that in there.
These names are dope as fuck.
The group of ships is underneath the umbrella company called Grumpy, and then one of the boats is called the Mistake.
A grumpy mistake, huh?
So great.
It's like Tennessee bail bonds.
Sailing. Oh yeah, Grumpy. Yeah. Sailing out of Pascagoula, Mississippi, fishermen sought butterfish feeding on the bottom in deep waters of the Gulf. On more than one occasion, the Riahards daydreamed of what they would do if one of their boats found a treasure ship. When their dream came true in August of '93, they agreed the first step would be to hire a good maritime law attorney. They soon found one when David Horan won a case in the Supreme Court for treasure salver Mel Fisher. Took the case. He promptly suggested the Riahards form a salvage partnership and file an admiralty claim on the site. So like a, ocean claim.
Yeah. It's like, this is our shit. So
and
we
it's
found
in
it.
the
Don't
ocean.
come plunk it. Like it's our shit.
Yeah. Located, like I said earlier, 50 miles south of New Orleans. The ship was in international waters where federal maritime law supersedes state law. This was a major break for the company they named Grumpy Partnership. Otherwise, it would have faced the state bureaucracy if the wreck had been found closer to the shoreline. I think just by like 15 miles or so, or 25 miles. I mean, like not that much further.
That's lucky as fuck.
Yeah. Like insanely unlucky for the Spanish.
But the homie in 93,
lucky
like, bruh.
for the grumpy folk,
I just looked up 17,000 pounds of silver. Today's price is only $5,000.
For 17,000 pounds? What about tons?
That's what it shows. Oh, tons. Oh, Jesus. Never mind.
There were permit application and other delays, but after the Grumpy Group appeared in the U.S. District Court and won ownership, the door to major salvage was open. Merrick's International was chosen to lead the operation, and it's a guy named Herbert, or nicknamed Herbo Humphreys. So Herbo Humphreys was a successful Memphis, Tennessee businessman, which that just sounds very accurate. All of this sounds right to me. The company had earned kudos for finding a trove of gold, silver, and precious gems on the Spanish galleon Las Maravillas. But this was in shallow water on the Little Bahama Bank. El Cazador would be much more challenging in the Gulf's deeper waters. Working from the research vessel RV Beacon, divers breathed mixed gases at 300 feet. So these divers had to go quite deep. Dangerous levels, actually.
Yeah.
They found the ship's bell and 3,000 King Carlos III portrait coins, many of which were 8 reals dated 1783. They brought up 12,000 more before surrendering to poor visibility and lengthy decompression stages. That's
Bro, that's fucking incredible feat to do.
Yeah.
Shit, bro.
I know.
Holy
So
shit.
that's when Humphreys put his remote-operated vehicle, or ROV, to work. They plucked conglomerates of coins off the bottom. It wasn't long before 30,000 more were retrieved, including smaller denominations and more pieces of 8, as it was referred to back then. Other artifacts strewn amongst the ballast stones included cannons, small arms, pottery, stained glass, rosary beads, and galley utensils. Anything made of wood was destroyed by something called teredo worms. And conservation and preservation of the artifacts was conducted in an Alabama lab where photos and documentation prepared them for sale and museum displays.
Roll Tide.
Ensuing work on the site eventually led to between a 70 and 80% recovery of the treasure.
Whoa.
Which is fucking rad.
That's nuts, bro. They got rich as fuck.
Yeah. Now, as the chronology of El Cazador unfolded, some historians called it the shipwreck that changed a nation. Supposition says if the ship had reached its destination, the colony would have been saved. It couldn't survive the falling value of its paper money and needed hard currency to redeem it. In 1800, the Louisiana Territory was ceded by Spain back to France, the original owner, which in turn sold it 3 years later to the United States. President Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the young republic and altered the course of history, all because a Spanish ship failed to reach its destination.
That is crazy, bro.
So, like I said earlier, El Cazador, or the Hunter, was about 90 feet long with a shallow draft and 2 masts. She probably carried 18 high-quality bronze cannons. The Spanish brig of war set sail from Veracruz, Mexico, on January 11th, 1784, under the command of a Captain Gabriel de Campos. She was loaded down with 17 metric tons of newly minted silver reals, the Spanish currency of the time. See, King Carlos III of Spain ordered the money to be transported from the mint to New Orleans, which served as the capital of Spain's Louisiana colony. New Orleans was settled by a melting pot of immigrants from France, Spain, Africa, and the West Indies. New Orleans had developed its own unique culture, like right from the beginning, and that's honestly one of the reasons why.
Bro. It shows so much
well,
in it
yeah.
today.
That's
Like,
why,
it's
like
crazy.
New Orleans, even today, is still so unique to America.
It doesn't feel like you're in the country.
Well, because
when you're in New Orleans.
you're not. I mean, it wasn't founded by Brits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shit is crazy.
Yeah, it's really its own thing. And with such a mix of people in one place, the city often lent itself to corruption, as it does now. Mm-hmm. King Carlos III needed to pay his soldiers and government officials in charge of the city. However, paper money circulating in New Orleans had lost much of its value as it was widely counterfeited.
Go figure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, boy.
And then, like I said earlier, a couple of times it left. In June, it was declared missing. And they just had no fuck. I mean, seriously, all they thought for over 200 years was somewhere between where it left and where it was supposed to go.
Something happened in those
And also,
many miles.
I reran the numbers, and it is $3,213,000.
And just
In today's
silver.
money?
Just silver.
Just the fact that it's silver.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jesus.
Yeah.
so this unlikely shipwreck gave King Carlos pause about whether the Louisiana Territory that Spain acquired from France about 20 years earlier was even a worthwhile investment anymore. So he was cousin to King Louis XV of France through their shared bloodline known as the Bourbons. Last name Bourbon. Fucking dope.
Yeah, they kind of pushed the. That's a whole nother subject.
yeah.
Never mind. Not gonna dive into that.
And they had, and they apparently had like a pretty good relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in 1762, Louis ceded the Louisiana Territory to Carlos III with the Treaty of Fontainebleau. Louis XIV the 15th sought to keep his precious Louisiana territory out of British hands. That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
It was like France and Spain. They were just like, I'm not happy about giving this to you because it's a shitload of land, very valuable, especially New Orleans.
But fuck them Brits.
But fuck the Brits. Exactly. Yeah.
Fuck them redcoats.
Because the French had lost the global conflict of the 7 Years' War, or as we know it over here, the French and Indian War, to the British. King Louis XV foresaw the upcoming repercussions of France's defeat and the intentions of Britain to assert her dominance in North America and the Caribbean. When they signed the Treaty of Paris in 1763 that ended the war officially and gave the growing British Empire all of Louisiana east of the Mississippi River, save for New Orleans, which Louis XV had definitely passed into family hands via the Spanish king a year prior. New Orleans' geography had its share of pros and cons. Plagues and mosquitoes attracted to the waterlogged city's subtropical climate, bred disease, including yellow fever, dysentery, smallpox.
Dysentery.
Yeah, I know. And then, but despite all the diseases, the alligators, the venomous snakes, the mosquitoes themselves, even if they're not bringing diseases, are fucking annoying.
I mean, it's rough down there in the bayou, boy.
And the city was in constant danger of flood because they didn't have the levees yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's fucking 7,000 feet below sea level or some crazy shit down there.
It's it is below sea level. Though,
it's below sea
which
level,
is ridiculous.
If it
but
was 7,000 feet below. The deepest bowl on the earth.
yeah.
Oh, you get what I'm saying.
Come live here. When it rains, it pours.
But in spite of all of that, New Orleans was still prime commercial real estate because of its position at the end of the mighty Mississippi River. Farmers, traders, merchants of all stripes could send their goods down the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico via New Orleans, exporting and inputting goods anywhere in the world. You know, I mean, the Gulf is pretty chill waters-wise.
Yeah.
So it's really easy for them to park a whole bunch of boats there so they could bring stuff in and take stuff out. You know?
Port City, baby.
Yeah. Spain exploited its control over the port and levied expensive tariffs for its use. As more people settled into the sprawling Louisiana territory, it became ever more costly for Spain to manage and control it. As a result of Spain beginning to lose its colonial grip on not only Louisiana, but much of its holding in the Western Hemisphere, all throughout the 1790s, France started eyeing its former territory in Louisiana once again. Right around that time, Napoleon Bonaparte, he took the French throne by a coup d'etat in 1799, and he looked to the Western Hemisphere to aid the expansion of his empire. On October 1st of 1800, Spain and France signed the secret Treaty of San Ildefonso. With it, Napoleon cut a deal to give the Spanish King Carlos IV's son-in-law Tuscany in exchange for returning the Louisiana territory to French control.
That's fucking wild.
Dude, that is
so crazy.
It's so weird how all this works out. At the
I'll
same,
give you this if you just give me that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what's up?
At the same time, trouble was brewing in French-owned island of Hispaniola, today Haiti and the Dominican Republic, that once, ironically, belonged to Spain.
Yeah.
Spain also sold that to France.
Yeah.
And then ongoing events in Hispaniola would indirectly alter the young United States forever, because it was the only successful slave revolt in the Western Hemisphere.
Damn right.
And this occurred at what now Haiti from 1791 to 1804. We've talked about that on this podcast, but I didn't realize that it also helped us double our nation.
Fucking wild.
The French had been unable to completely subdue the Haitian slave rebellion, so Napoleon wisely decided to just cut France's losses on Hispaniola after losing 55,000 troops.
Yeah, bro. They were out here, though.
Because that slave army had evolved into a highly efficient guerrilla army.
Yeah.
Although the loss of France's lucrative sugar plantations in Haiti would mean Napoleon's war chest would take a hit, he needed to replace the loss of income. So while he's supporting out his imperial problems, another leader also contemplated expanding his nation's horizons. President Thomas Jefferson. he viewed the French control over the port at New Orleans as a hindrance to American settlement in the West. He didn't want to fight with France over the territory because, we just finished fighting with the British like not very long ago.
Exactly.
Like 4 years, I think. Yeah. Jefferson understood that war would prove catastrophic for the young United States. So instead, he sought out a diplomatic solution. He sent James Monroe as his envoy to the French government with an offer to buy New Orleans for no more than $3 million. Instead of haggling over the port city, Napoleon surprised Jefferson by upping the ante. He put the entire Louisiana territory up for sale. No more, no less.
Huh.
Now,
I'll be damned.
the strict constructionist president was conflicted with the offer since the Constitution didn't include allowances for the federal government to accept land purchases.
Huh.
To get around that,
That's interesting.
I know. Again, there's
fucking
so
weird.
much of this, and I'm like, how did I not know this?
That's so crazy.
To get around that, he framed the deal as a treaty between the United States and France. Strategy worked, and Jefferson bought the enormous swath of land between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains for $15 million on April 30th, 1803.
But that's so much fucking money in 1803, bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
Like 15 million now. I mean, athletes get paid that shit a year.
Yeah.
But like, bro,
in 1803,
that's
yeah.
fucking insane.
But check this shit out.
Holy shit.
It worked. It's so fucking big that it priced out at barely 4 cents per acre.
Oh my God.
Damn.
The average price of an acre in the United States today is $12,000.
Crazy.
There was a guy at work the other day that was
is fucking insane.
bitching to me that his grandpa just bought 72 acres for $72,000.
That's a really,
And I
really good
went,
price.
What?
That's fucking amazing.
That's a really, really
where
good
is it
price.
at though?
It's in Arizona.
Okay.
That's
Desert
fantastic,
land?
even for
But
Arizona.
still dope. That's still dope though.
Right?
That's fucking insane. What kind of deal? What kind of fucking what?
Yeah.
So
Didn't
the
talk to him.
828,000 square miles, or 2.1 million square kilometers, signed over in Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase Treaty, effectively doubled the size of the United States and set it on the path to conquering the continent all the way to the Pacific Ocean. It's the only reason that we are as big as we are.
It's because a fucking ship sank.
And then there was a war or a slave revolt in Haiti. Yeah.
That's fucking wild, bro.
Now,
Damn, this world would be so much different if that
Yeah.
shit, if that boat just would have made it. This world would be so much more different.
in high school, I
50
remember,
miles away.
I know.
50 fucking
50 miles. That's
Anyway.
all they had to do.
50 miles, bro.
Crazy.
I drive that shit in a week.
A half an hour in a car.
Yeah. Nuts. And I remember, like, I know that we covered the Louisiana Purchase in, like, middle school or high school, but either didn't care at the time or we just glossed over it. So,
It's like, hey, this big slab of land, we bought that shit, now we're here. That's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Mostly. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I didn't know about this ship
yeah.
and a slave revolt
Yeah.
that also fucked over Spain and France.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And also, a lot of the details to this that I'm about to cover, I don't remember it or they just didn't cover in my classes. But the purchase included land from 15 present U.S. states and 2 Canadian provinces, actually.
Jam.
It included the entirety of Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska.
Holy shit.
Large portions of North Dakota and South Dakota, the area of Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado east of the Continental Divide, the portion of Minnesota west of the Mississippi River, the northeastern section of New Mexico, northern portions of Texas, New Orleans, and the portions of the present state of Louisiana west of the Mississippi River. Small portions of land within Alberta and Saskatchewan.
I thought it was just Louisiana.
No.
They taught us all the way wrong.
Yeah, it's like Louisiana up.
Holy yeah. There's the whole slab, bro. The whole slab of the middle of the country.
Yeah.
Was the Louisiana territory, basically. Yeah.
That's
That
nuts.
shit's wild as fuck.
And
bro.
at
From
the-
Montana to Louisiana, bro.
Yeah.
That's like half the country.
Yeah.
And so
Straight
this
up.
is also some shit that I didn't know at all. At the time of the purchase, the territory of Louisiana's non-native population was just around 60,000. of whom half were enslaved Africans. So just 30,000 free people.
That's crazy.
The western borders of the purchase were later settled by the 1819 Adams-Onis Treaty with Spain. So Spain lost more land to us, while the northern borders of the purchase were adjusted by the Treaty of 1818 with Britain. So they basically re-got those portions of Canada afterwards. However, France only controlled a small fraction of this area. Most of it was inhabited by Native Americans. For the majority of the area, what the United States bought was the, quote, preemptive right to obtain, quote, Indian lands by treaty or by conquest to the exclusion of other colonial powers. So they're saying that they just bought the right
To go
in their
fuck people's
brains,
lives up.
into their white Western European brains to like, no. When we go kill these natives off or just take their land from them and force them to go somewhere else or try and teach them how to put on pantaloons and speak English, no other country, Spain, Britain, or France, is allowed to do that, but we are. That's what our money got us.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
About that. That's so crazy. I mean, they're still like abducting Native American people now and like assimilating them into English and shit, bro. It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Now, the total cost of all subsequent treaties and financial settlements over this massive amount of land has been estimated to be about $2.6 billion.
Jesus. Damn. Yeah.
After Monroe and Livingston had returned from France with the news of the purchase, an official announcement of the purchase was made on July 4th, of all dates, 1803. This gave Jefferson and his cabinet until October, when the treaty had to be ratified, to discuss the constitutionality of the purchase. Jefferson considered a constitutional amendment to justify the purchase. However, his cabinet convinced him otherwise. Jefferson justified the purchase by rationalizing. Here's a quote of his that I found so odd. It is the case of a guardian investing the money of his ward in purchasing an important adjacent territory and saying to him, when of age, I did this for your good.
Oh my God. That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
That's so
Pretty
fucked up.
weird.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah. It's darkness all in United States history,
yeah,
bro.
man, he was an interesting guy, and like this kind of shows like a over rationalization, or if you are too logical, you do some pretty shitty stuff.
Yeah.
And don't think of it as that way. You know?
Yeah.
Jefferson ultimately came to the conclusion before the ratification of the treaty that the purchase was to protect the citizens of the United States, therefore making it constitutional.
Wow.
Since we
Holy shit.
ostensibly own it, or at least own the right to go take it, that in that way we can protect the citizens from the savages
Yeah.
or other Western European nations that are constantly squabbling over the land at this time period.
Those laws are still up today.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
That shit's real. It's fucking crazy. And they wonder why gun culture is so crazy in America.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
this shit started like that.
And here's some
I
more.
will shoot your ass if you come on my property.
Dude, here's some
Straight
more
up.
amazingly American shit. I was like, oh, we've always been like this. Cool. Good to know for a fact. So Henry Adams and other historians have argued that Jefferson acted hypocritically with the Louisiana Purchase.
You think?
Because of his position as a strict constructionalist regarding the Constitution, since he stretched the intent of that document to justify his purchase. The American purchase of the Louisiana Territory was not accomplished without domestic opposition. Jefferson's philosophical consistency was in question because of his strict interpretation of the Constitution. Many people believed that he and others, including James Madison, were doing something they surely would have argued against, say, if Alexander Hamilton did that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Does that not sound like some shit that we deal with on a daily?
Yeah.
For sure, bro. It's always in rotation.
The Federalists, or let's call them Republicans nowadays, strongly opposed the purchase, favoring close relations with Britain over closer ties to Napoleon. Both Federalists and Jeffersonians, as they were referred to, were concerned over the purchase's constitutionality. Many members of the House of Representatives opposed the purchase. Majority Leader John Randolph led this opposition. The House called for a vote to deny the request for the purchase, but it failed by only 2 votes.
Nice.
59 to 57. So again, Shipwreck, the only slave revolt that ever happened in the Western Hemisphere, and then 2 fucking votes.
2 people.
That's crazy, bro. It's fucking wild.
The Federalists were even tried to prove the land belonged to Spain, not France. But available records proved otherwise. The Federalists also feared that the power of the Atlantic seaboard states would be threatened by the new citizens in the West, sound familiar, whose political and economic priorities were bound to conflict with those of the merchants and bankers of New England. There was also a concern that an increase in the number of slaveholding states created out of the new territory would exacerbate divisions between the North and the South as well.
Damn.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
A group
Crazy.
of Northern Federalists led by Senator Timothy Pickering of Massachusetts went so far as to explore the idea of a separate Northern Confederacy.
Whoa.
Sound familiar?
Right?
Fucking crazy, bro.
Just hold on. 7 years after this nation was founded, they're talking about splitting the fuck off.
They're already
these
like,
guys.
yeah, I know,
Bunch of cow kissing sons of bitches.
I know we just got this all together, but like, let's put it back up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it's
Well,
fucking
not
crazy.
actually. It's not that surprising.
No.
Not at all.
Although just to see it written down on the page is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Another concern was whether if it was proper to grant citizenship to the French, Spanish, and the free blacks living in New Orleans.
What?
As the treaty would dictate. Critics in Congress worried whether these, quote, foreigners, unacquainted with democracy, could or should become citizens.
That's so fucking crazy.
The U.S. government had to use an English common law to make them citizens, and they only did this in order to collect taxes from people living in New Orleans.
Yeah, of course. You know?
So they're calling people foreigners, and they arrived the same time the foreigners did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Rock and roll.
100%. And the only thing that
Man, at
changed
this
their
point,
minds
they're all foreigners.
versus what language they speak or what the color of their skin was, it all just boiled down to fucking green. That's
Yep.
all they cared about.
Straight up.
And greenbacks, baby.
If you drawing breath, I need that tax money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get it.
So, and then a little later on, Spain protested the transfer on 2 grounds. First, France had previously promised in a note not to alienate Louisiana to a third party. And a second, France had not fulfilled the third treaty of San Ildefonso by having the king of Ichuria recognized by all European powers. The French government replied that these objections were baseless since the promise not to alienate Louisiana was not in the Treaty of San Ildefonso itself and therefore had no legal force. And the Spanish government had ordered Louisiana to be transferred in October of 1802, despite knowing for months that British had not recognized the king of Ichuria in the Treaty of Amiens or Amiens.
Yeah, I think it's Amiens.
That's fucking wild, bro. This shit. So many backdoor deals
Isn't it
and
weird?
bullshit happening,
Yeah.
bro. Like I was just taught we bought that shit and it
Yeah.
became the states.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
There's so much more shit.
I know there's so much more going on to it.
Off a fucking shipwreck. Jesus Christ.
Henry Adams claimed the sale of Louisiana to the United States was trebly invalid if it were French property. Bonaparte could not constitutionally alienate it without the consent of the French chambers. If it were Spanish property, he could not alienate it at all. If Spain had a right of reclamation, his sale was worthless. The sale, of course, was not worthless. The U.S. actually did take possession. Furthermore, the Spanish prime minister had authorized the U.S. to negotiate with the French government, quote, the acquisition of territories which may suit their interests. Spain turned the territory over to France in a ceremony in New Orleans on November 30th, a month before France turned it over to American officials. So Spain sent delegates over and did a little pomp and circumstance thing, saying, "Here, it's yours now." And then France was like, "Dope, thanks. Okay, here you go, Jefferson." Like immediately, it was
we
like,
just
bop,
been
bop,
chilling.
you know?
We're waiting on this deal. I'm waiting to move this a little bit of weight so I can get this other little bit of weight off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
I'm
nuts,
like straight
dude.
up middleman. That's nuts.
Other historians counter the above arguments regarding Jefferson's alleged hypocrisy by asserting that countries change their borders in two ways. One, by conquest, or two, an agreement between nations, or a treaty. The Louisiana Purchase was the latter, a treaty. The Constitution specifically grants the president the power to negotiate treaties, Article 2, Section 2, which is just what Jefferson did.
Yep.
Madison, known as the father of the Constitution, assured Jefferson that the Louisiana Purchase was well within even the strictest interpretations of the Constitution. Treasury Secretary Albert Gallatin added that since the power to negotiate treaties was specifically granted to the president, the only way extending the country's territory by treaty could not be a presidential power would be if it were specifically excluded by the Constitution, which it was not.
Huh. That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about everything around us where we live at, off of Gallatin, in Madison, Tennessee.
I know, I thought about that.
Right next to Jefferson County.
Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck? Anyway, my brain took a loop on that.
So Jefferson was right to be concerned about staying within the bounds of the Constitution, but felt the power of these arguments and was willing to acquiesce with satisfaction if the Congress approved the treaty. The Senate quickly ratified the treaty, and the House, with equal alacrity, authorized the required funding as the Constitution specifies. The fledgling United States, here's something else that's fucking bonkers, did not have $15 million in its treasury, so it borrowed it from Great Britain,
Oh my God.
who we just pissed the fuck off very badly.
Oh, yeah.
And Great Britain is the one country that nobody wanted them to have
That's why they did
this
the whole
territory.
shit.
And they said, I'm a little light. Can I borrow $15 million from you?
I
in the
get you
early
like
1800s?
$30 million next Friday when I get paid.
I know we just won a whole like country from y'all.
Yeah.
But can y'all help us?
We want more. We
Have
want to
the
double
rest of
it.
the country.
Actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to double it. You know,
Mine.
Fucking insane, bro.
Great Britain gave it to us at an annual interest rate of 6%, which is not very good.
No, not at all.
Fucking what?
Some bad money dealings going on. The United States Senate advised and consented to ratification of the treaty with a vote of 24-7 on October 20th. The following day, October 21st, 1803, the Senate authorized Jefferson to take possession of the territory and establish a temporary military government. In legislation enacted on October 31st, Congress made temporary provisions for local civil government to continue as it had under French and Spanish rule, and authorized the president to use military forces to maintain order. So basically, New Orleans is just going to keep going as New Orleans does. And again, that's why they're so unique to us.
Yep.
And they just put like national military down there as just a failsafe.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If shit goes awry,
Yeah,
chitty
yeah.
chitty
Yeah,
bang
yeah.
bang.
After this, plans were set for several missions to explore and chart the territory, including the most famous being Lewis and Clark expedition.
Also, there's the Chris Farley movie where they were going to be the first Lewis and
Almost
Clark.
Heroes?
Yeah, Almost Heroes.
I love that one. That's
Yeah,
so
my
good.
favorite line in that is
I think
like,
that actually did happen in history.
Yeah.
There was
Like,
an
there was a-
expedition set forth and they failed
Oh no,
miserably.
there was. Yeah, there definitely was. My favorite part in the movie though was the old guy, and he's got like the straw maiden that he's made as his wife.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at him and goes, "You know, she's made of straw." "Yes, sir. I figure that's why she burns so fast in the fire."
That was a classic, bro. I think that was his last movie. Chris Farley, I think it was his last
It
movie
was.
he did.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, so the opposition of New England Federalists to the Louisiana Purchase, just to kind of sum all this up, was primarily economic self-interest. Not any legitimate concern over constitutionality or whether France indeed owned Louisiana or was required to sell it back to Spain should it desire to dispose of the territory. Fucking sound familiar? The Northerners were not enthusiastic about Western farmers gaining another outlet for their crops that did not require the use of New England's ports. Also, many Federalists were speculators in lands in upstate New York and New England and were hoping to sell those lands to farmers who might now go west instead if the Louisiana Purchase went through. They also feared that this would lead to Western states being formed, which would likely be Republican or kind of Democratic now, but it was so long ago, it's quite different, and dilute the political power of New England Federalists. When Spain later objected to the United States purchasing Louisiana from France, Madison responded that America had first approached Spain about purchasing it, but had been told by Spain itself that America would have to treat with France for the territory. So they just basically were having seller's remorse, I think. You know what I mean? Like they gave it up, and then France was like, "Oh shit, actually, we can't really afford this shit either." And either way, in less than 3 years, the Louisiana Territory passed from Spain to France to the United States, and again took a shipwreck, a war, and a slave uprising for all of this to actually happen, and then a two-person vote.
A two-person vote.
Like all of these very unlikely things happening is the only reason that we're the size that we are.
That's insane.
And in that, wild, Jefferson sealed the largest land deal in U.S. history with peaceful diplomacy and a signature.
That's fucking crazy.
Again, El Cazador sat at the bottom of the drink for over 2 centuries before old Jerry found it. And I'm now realizing I think we're very safe to say that he did get to keep ownership of this treasure that he found. But I couldn't find anywhere that said how much he made. But one of those coins in good condition after it was like properly rehabbed? What am I trying to say?
Refurbished?
Yeah, thank you. Refurbished is now worth anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. There's some online markets,
massive space, but okay.
Through the it's just
the level of
market systems and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it depends on the quality of it, amongst other things, like who you're actually buying it from. It's apparently all of it comes from the Franklin Mint that Benjamin Franklin set up. But there's some that have been turned into like jewelry and stuff that I've seen on some online stores or whatever. So I've seen some be for like $1,100. Others go for like $2,200 as just one of these coins, just because it's rare and it's super cool.
Of course, it's dope.
But at the worst case, and Drew, you were talking about this earlier, they were 90% silver and they weighed almost 7 grams, which equates to about $5 in today's market. So worst case scenario, they melt it down for the silver and then sell it that way. Yep. So I did some math, and we can assume that Jerry made anywhere from $225,000 to $9 million.
Good God.
Must be fucking nice.
Right. Yeah, bro. I mean, on the lighter side of that, I'm happy.
That's a good day. Yeah, you're looking for butterfish, and you come up with worst case $225,000 of a shipwreck that we almost kind of forgot about.
Yeah. That we actually pretty much forgot about. Not kinda.
Shit is
the only reason that like historians would even know about it is for the last 45 minutes I just spent.
Yeah.
But the physical ship itself, I'm sure they were just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how many ships they just lost back then. We were talking about this the other week. It's like there's probably so many other ships out there that have fucking all this shit on it because all the wars and shit would happen, man. People would come across each other and shoot each other down and shit.
Yeah.
Hit a fucking iceberg.
Yeah.
Even in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Fucking nuts. Hey, shit's made out of wood, bro. I mean,
where'd that ice come from? Mississippi. That some bitch came flowing down that somebody and jumped out and unburned me.
Had to be a cold winter, boy.
What?
What you just say? Yeah, iceberg. I hit an iceberg.
I hit an
You were
iceberg.
bass fishing, motherfucker. I hit an iceberg, though.
Yeah,
Me and that trolling motor had a hard time getting back.
Didn't you leave out of a port in Alabama earlier today? Yeah, hit an iceberg.
Yep, hit an
Shit's
iceberg.
crazy.
Oh, damn, done. Alaska done got big.
That's fucking crazy. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, they're all gone.
Global warming. Global warming is handling that one.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate that. Don't worry about ice capping with your boat in the Gulf of Mexico anymore because this is
it's
Mexico
hot
now.
year-round.
So,
Bro, it's like 70 degrees year round.
yeah, no, I was
Down
talking
there
to
these days.
one of my friends down in Montgomery, Alabama, yesterday. I was like, "Yeah, it's 88 degrees up here," and he's like,
Or hotter.
"There's no way." I'm in
Yeah.
Montgomery, which is about 500 miles from here. And he was like, "There's 500 miles south of where we are right now, so
Yeah.
it's closer to the equator. So logically, it should be hotter." And he's like, "There's no way it's 88 degrees. It's 75 degrees here." And I was like, "Look at weather.com." He pulled it up, and he was like, "Oh shit!" I was
bro.
like, "Uh huh."
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Humidity.
this year, I don't know if you guys have realized the change in the weather pattern as far as like the way that rain and things move up. It used to be from where we're from, a seatbelt straight up to Nashville, you know, strapped across.
Yeah.
Now it's Birmingham up to Nashville. This whole year, I've been
Different.
documenting it.
Different.
And I'm like, what the hell? And like, it was the thing that was brought up on the Weather Channel of like, here are certain areas that have been hit by tornadoes this year, or that haven't been hit by tornadoes that are usually hit. Mm-hmm. And it was all of them because it's moved over
The
like
system's shifting.
400 miles, and it just
crazy.
goes up now. But it keeps it's on the same trajectory going up, but going like east west, it's different now.
That
is crazy.
Just within the last year.
Yeah,
That's something to look into.
Yeah.
seriously.
There might be a weird news update in the future.
Little shout out for this, I guess, information. A lot of it came from an article called El Cazador, the Shipwreck That Changed the World by MF AIM or MFAME. I'm not sure. It's like some kind of maritime history group or whatever that they kind of compiled this thing. And then, of course, Wikipedia is great for the big swaths of information.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Louisiana
The
Purchase stuff.
timeline vibes
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that bullshit. Well, yeah, man. The Shipwreck, the Chance USA, Shipwreck USA.
Yeah.
Sounds like a theme park.
Right? Welcome to Shipwreck. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, we're going to bottle that. We'll open that up later.
That's like a haunted house.
Yeah, right.
Like a haunted ship
Ooh,
house
that
park
water.
with rides
Park.
and water.
Yeah. Anyway, guys.
Water park roller coasters.
Yeah. They ain't made those yet.
Yeah, exactly. See, we're ahead of the time. Anyway, fucking a shipwreck made this crazy fucking country bigger and more volatile. But anyway,
Twice as big.
yeah, take that with you. We love you. I'm Justin Hammond, and I'm saying love, live life because it's worth living, y'all.
I'm Drew Shelnut, and I'm saying if you didn't think that we were going to take the whole country,
Yeah, right. I mean, we fought real hard for parts of Mexico that we just didn't get. You know what I mean?
we're just like,
And parts of Canada.
yeah.
Well, Grant Bramlett here, and instead of my usual sign off, I'm going to say I just remembered somebody fucking stole another one of my ideas. Apparently, there's a venue that's opening up in Madison called The Church.
Oh wow!
I wanted to find an old church and turn it into a music video, and they beat me to it again.
Yeah,
It's gonna keep.
oh, bro, that happened to be on the west side
Makes me feel better.
with the fucking Rock and Dough spot.
Yeah.
that old church. That was trying to make a pool hall out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. Anyway,
And we also had the garage one, the Nation's, the old car garage.
yeah, the garage. We'll get there. We'll get there, man. We'll
It
get
just
there.
means that we have good ideas.
Yeah.
it means we just gotta find our time. You know, you can't rush your time. You gotta slow it so you can see it better.
I used to have an idea when I was a kid that, like, because like when we were kids, people used like hair gel and shit. You know, I mean, I'm sure people still do, but sorry for you.
We're using pomade these days.
Yeah, that's what you should.
Right.
But I had an idea for like the hairbrush that had like kind of a
little squirty boy in it.
dispenser
but
on
like
it?
as you squeeze the handle, it squirts the stuff out into your hair and you just comb it. And then I fucking saw one like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, "You sons of fucking bitches!"
Yeah. It's like I always remember, if you can think of it, it's probably already out there.
Yep.
Same thing with anything creative. Honestly,
been done.
It just depends on how well you do it.
Yep.
People. So
Yeah, just look at Tesla.
keep grinding, that crazy motherfucker. Keep grinding, keep shining. And this has been a podcast called Friends, Facts, and Fiction. And we out.
I mean, I can't just believe that they fucking stole my idea again.
Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next installment. Find us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on all things Friends, Facts, and Fiction. Our Instagram handle is friends_facts_fiction. As always, please reach out to us. You can send any of your questions, praise, and fact-checking to friends_facts_fiction@gmail.com. It's important to us to only propagate the truth, and we'll correct any errors we may have made. Your hosts and researchers are Justin Hammonds, Grant Bramlett, and Drew Shellnut. Our episodes are produced by Grant Bramlett. Additional producership provided by Grace Higgs. Our recording engineer is Grant Bramlett. Our editor, mix, and mastering audio engineer is Jeremy Mulder. Lighting design is provided by Justin Hammonds. This has been a production of Friends, Facts, and Fiction.
Sync and all that shit is fucking
Sure. One of my buddies had one of the coolest shirts I've ever seen in my life. I did the chick from Hanson.
Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah. I used to go,
Baba doopa da ba doo. Can't sing in tune. Baba doopa da ba doo. Yeah, yeah. Come on, now.